to start.
All right. Awesome. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to episode 36 of Security Matters with the Coffee Squad. We are talking today about Veterans Day. So enough of the doom and gloom that Will and I talked about last week with civil unrest and the elections, because guess what? We still don't know who's president. So that's all right. So yeah, we'll see what really burns here in the next, maybe next week, maybe not. We'll see. But so yeah, we're going to talk about Veterans Day. We got a guest on here, good buddy, Justin Pearson, retired Army First Sergeant. He is the CEO of Proper Patriot. And most importantly, in my opinion, he's a veteran advocate. And so Justin did 20 years in the Army, infantry and recruiting. And I think the biggest thing is, with Justin is, again, that veteran advocacy. So he's worked for a few companies and placed people and service members into corporate jobs. And we're going to talk about a little bit about that. We're going to talk about what Veterans Day means to not only him, but to us as well, since we're all veterans on this show. And then we're going to talk about what kind of Justin's doing a little something special this year on Veterans Day, and we're going to let him talk about that. So, Justin, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, and glad you're here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much for both of you.
So we are the Coffee Squad. We are recording this podcast here a little bit later than normal. It's not your 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. So, as everyone knows, I do not drink coffee, so that's no big surprise. But, Will, what are you drinking? Are you drinking coffee now, or what do you got in that hand?
I have your favorite, the La
Croix.
So
you got to practice your French, homie.
Sparkling. But no, I'm drinking that good old grapefruit sparkling water. And I actually just finished a cup of coffee because I was having difficulties with this, technical difficulties prior to this, so I just needed a little pick-me-up. So I had a Peruvian dark roast iced coffee. So there you go.
Nice.
Very nice.
Justin, what are you drinking?
Yeah, I tell you, it's crazy hearing him what he just said he was drinking, because, I mean, you check this out. I have a grapefruit, bubbly, sparkling water, man. What in the world, right? Man, I just need to top it off with something else. Give me a little extra energy.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. You're both
later on in the show, we'll do that.
All right. You're both from Montana too, right?
Wow, I did not know you were from Montana. Where are you from in Montana?
Great Falls.
Oh man, I was literally right over the mountain range in Whitefish, Montana. Oh. I have family that's in Great Falls and in Fort Benton. Yeah, beautiful country.
Beautiful.
And that's awesome.
You say Fort Benton? Wow, I haven't heard that name for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, Fort Benton, Big Sandy, all out there. Yeah.
Nice.
So how long has it been since you've been there?
Almost 10 years probably. My parents still live back there. They live on the eastern side of the state.
Okay.
Now, so it's been a while. I was planning on going this year, but obviously that kind of got changed.
Yeah, I was going to go back and do some big game hunting there in the Bear Paws, which is just south of Big Sandy. With my extended family that's out there. My mom's family, we had 7 brothers and 6 sisters, and so I have a shit ton of cousins, and cousins have cousins and kids, and next thing you know, you have a hunting party of 20 or 30 individuals just to go out and find some elk or deer or whatnot. Yep. So, but yeah, I was unfortunate not being able to go out this year.
Definitely.
Nice. Look at you two.
What are you drinking, Jake? I know you're feeling left out.
Yeah, man.
I'm really not.
Picture together and send it to you, man. While you're in California. I'm
drinking Perrier Fusions Peach and Cherry, man. I had to switch things up this week, and it's actually Perrier, however you say it. It's actually pretty dang good. So I'm actually digging it right now. So. Yeah. So obviously we are not much of the Coffee Squad today, but who cares?
I did have maybe 4 or 5 cups of coffee this morning. Some nice ice cold. I was getting prepped. I had a big time interview opportunity today where, as a matter of fact, I did talk about Montana in my interview, because every company is going to ask you, well, why this company, right? Mm-hmm. Well, this company had heritage back 140 years, and I was able to link it to the Battle of Little Bighorn, that happened just south of Hardin, Montana, where Crazy Horse went against Colonel Custer and and Custer's last stand, and I mean, that was a bloody battle that we were defeated, but yeah, I was able to pair that together and have a good story behind it. So yeah.
Nice. I think that's important. Like in interviews, always kind of having a little bit to talk about, a little bit maybe off subject of the actual job, that interview itself.
Yeah.
So
You're exactly right there.
Awesome. So let's just jump into this topic here, of Veterans Day. So for those people, who may not know, and maybe, even if you were in the military, I don't think it was ever taught like, hey, this is why we celebrate Veterans Day. Everyone just thought of it as a 4 day holiday.
Mm-hmm.
This will be the first year I think I've ever had Veterans Day off, which is funny. My whole time in the military, I don't think I ever had it off, but that's to be expected.
Veterans Day off?
What's that?
So you get Veterans Day off?
Yeah. Well, I'm taking vacation, so I'll be out there. But yeah, I will have it off this year. So just a quick history. So Veterans Day was kind of celebrated after World War I. It was kind of put into place almost a year later by President Wilson. So World War I ended officially. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in June of 1919, but it actually was ended November 11th of 1918. Yep. And then in November of 1919, President Wilson called it Armistice Day, and just kind of had a day for everyone to reflect here in America what it meant. At that time, it was the Great War. Little did we know, fast forward a few years later, and then you had World War II, and then it seems like every, 5-10 years we're in some kind of conflict. I would say that if we look back in history now, the war on terror will be considered the long war for us. So, but so that's a little bit of history. So, Justin, if you don't mind, tell a little, about your history, why you joined, and then what Veterans Day kind of means to you.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, in 1997, you trail back that, 23 years ago, I had decided to leave Montana, and our family out there at that point in time, they were ranchers. Our closest neighbor was some 20 miles away. So I was just like, get me out of here. I need to get out and do something. And, I was originally from Oregon, and kind of being a transplant into Montana on my mom's side of the family, where everyone's big time ranchers and whatnot. I was the new guy. And growing up was tough for me, we'll just say. And I wanted to get out and join the Army, so not only I could leave the ranch, but so I could prove something to my family. I wanted to do something wild, adventurous, something crazy, something like next level type stuff. And that was, jumping out of planes, becoming a paratrooper. And at that point in time, going through the Ranger Introduction Program, back in the day it was called RIP, and then hopefully becoming part of a Ranger Battalion. So in June of '97, left, went down to basic training, did that whole bit, went through Ranger Introduction training, got to my first unit, my first platoon, and literally I think it was like the second or third weekend after RIP, I got in like an altercation with a couple of, the E3 Rangers that had just got out of Ranger school. And they're like, hey, Private, you're going to stay here and you're going to buff, the halls for all weekend. Right. And it's, it's 3 stories, and it would definitely take you all 4-day weekend. Cause I had a couple other buddies that were in airborne school at the time. They were, I guess, recycles at that point in time. They're like, oh, let's go do this and let's go on vacation. And then these individuals, they're in Charlie Company, had said, oh no, you're gonna buff the floor. And so literally we were rolling around, wrestling. I think I got a little, little black eye. It wasn't too bad, but within like weeks, I ended up getting new orders for the 82nd Airborne. Like, this guy is not staying here. Because I was like, I'm not buffing no floor. You're crazy, And
wow.
So lo and behold, I was then put on reassignment to the 82nd Airborne. I went to Charlie Company 1505. which is part of the Panther Brigade, and I was there for about 2.5 years. I had a lot of great experiences there. I mean, at one point in time, we painted that damn Panther pink, and that is a true story. Old Command Sergeant Major Thorpe was good Lord, man, this is going back in the day right here. So Command Sergeant Major Thorpe, man, he had one of those airborne berets that wasn't an airborne beret. He looked like a pizzeria,
Gotcha.
dude. And if anyone was, in 80 Deuce back then, 3rd Brigade, they would have known who Command Sergeant Major Thorpe was. And yeah, me and a couple buddies went and painted that damn Panther pink.
That's awesome.
Did a bunch of night jumps. Just had a really, really, really good time. You fast forward from Bragg. At that point in time, I left Bragg after 2.5 years of being there. I was, I made corporal. I was corporal, promotable, got selected for the corporal recruiting program, went to Montana, did 2-year stint there in Montana on recruiting duty, really rocked it, had amazing time. And just before September 11th, I had re-enlisted, and you fast forward in October of 2001, I was then in Hawaii, and pulling gate guard and out on guard duty on the outer perimeter of the island of Oahu when I was really, really young. So while I was at Hawaii, I was in a 235 Infantry Cacti, which was part of 3rd Combat Broncos Brigade. I was an infantry guy at heart, so you jumping out of planes, doing air assault, combat operations type prep missions. At that point in time, we went to Afghanistan in 2004, 2005. And so that was, a 14 to 16 month deployment right there when I was pre-Advon and then post-Advon, getting everyone back. From there, I went down and I was, once I got back, I went down to Fort Benning, Georgia. I was part of the Small Arms Weapon Expert Committee.
Okay.
So that was really fun. I was in Fort Benning, Georgia, did that. Then recruiting called me back again, and they're like, hey, no, you're coming back for good. So at that point in time, they said, where do you want to go? Because you're going to be, converted to 79 Romeo. I was like, I would love to go to Florida. Who wouldn't want to go to sunny Florida, right? And so I was down in Florida for almost 5 years. As a manager of recruiters. And then I made the promotion list for first sergeant, which is an E8 in the Army. And I took over my first company in Northern Virginia, did that for 3.5 years, then transitioned from there out to Waco, Texas, just outside of Fort Hood, did that for another 3 years, was selected for Sergeant Major in fiscal year 15 list. And literally 45 days before school started, I just woke up and said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And I put my retirement paperwork in, and lo and behold, 9 months later, I retired. And then from there, I started my civilian career. So
Nice.
leaving the Army and not having that now, it's tough. It's tough not having that camaraderie, that battle of brothers, battle of sisters, that responsibility that we had, that you were the person that was given guidance and, all eyes on you type thing. And the different missions that we all went on and were a part of, so not having that now is, it's really tough. But, one of the ways that I've kind of combated that is just continuing to lead, coach, teach, train, and mentor soldiers, service members from every other branch of the service. So literally since I've gotten out, I've had well over 7,000 career discussions or exploration types of calls with service members or military spouses in support of finding meaningful opportunity in life after the military. So I did that from the perspective of a variety of different Fortune 1000 companies to understand what service members are looking for, so they could recruit service members, right? And then on the flip side of that, then being part of a Fortune 30 company and leading that, or being part of that military recruiting team and placing veterans into positions and helping them navigate the interview process into positions that range, 80,000 to 3, 4, 500,000 plus a year. So, it's been definitely a great opportunity as a veteran to be able to continue to serve back. Again, I needed that extra, I call it the extra leadership time when you're having discussions with service members. But, to kind of transition from that into like Veterans Day,
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. I mean,
thank you.
You got to, it sounds like, I know I've talked to other vets, and you see the disgruntled vets who are like, like, I hated my career. You obviously loved your career, and you can tell on your face and the way you talk, like, you look back on it fond. Like, I feel the exact same way. Like, I was fortunate enough to serve. I loved what I did. Loved. Yeah. I hated being home here on stateside. I just wanted to deploy all the time, but it was great, and you have to come home, you got to come home, reset, you got to train, learn different skill sets, but absolutely loved it. Will, you were in the 82nd. What unit were you in? It'd be crazy. You both were drinking grapefruit. Yeah, you're both from Montana. Were you in the same unit?
No, I wasn't a Panther. I was a Red Devil. So first.
Okay.
He was little. I think you were like literally just a stone's throw away from us.
Yeah, I think we were just a couple.
I think we shared the same basketball court right there in the middle of the courtyard. Yeah. As a matter of fact.
So I joined.
And I was like, those little dirty legs. Look at them little fuckers.
Yeah. So, Will, why did you join?
I grew up in Montana, and there's literally nothing to do for an adventurous young male. I mean, obviously mountains.
Come on, man. You're in Montana. There's plenty of adventure.
Yeah, not. It doesn't feel like that when you grow up there,
Gotcha.
Because hunting and fishing and mountains, that's just part of life. So
yeah.
I was ready to leave, much like you. I wanted to get away. I was going to join the Air Force because my dad was retired Air Force. That's how he ended up in Montana. And then that damn Army recruiter showed me the Airborne Ranger video, and I wanted to jump out of airplanes. So I enlisted, went to Airborne School, 82nd, spent my whole time there, got out as an E5 after, 4 years. So lots of fun. I enjoyed it.
What years were you in the 82nd?
97 through 2000.
Dude, we were there the same time.
That's crazy. You never crossed paths,
Yeah, I mean, we could probably look back at pictures of.
Yeah, but coming from Montana, like same year frame, like Airborne School, any of that.
Yeah.
Infantry. I mean, what's crazy is, I went to Benning for infantry basic, right?
Yeah.
I went much later than you guys, but I am actually the same age. So, but yeah, it's cool. Maybe 30th age. I don't know. But it all depends on when you guys when you went. So awesome. Good times. So, Will, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
He's like, what?
Wait, give him the knife hand, man.
Yeah.
The 82nd knife hand.
I mean, well, it's a time to reflect and thank everybody who has served or is continuing to serve. Our country and help make us safe and give us the life that we do have. I know a lot of people mix up Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and I always, if somebody asks me, Memorial Day is to remember the fallen, Veterans Day is to remember the ones who are still alive and have served and are still serving. So,
yeah, I'm glad you said that, man. Made that clarity because a lot of people, like you said, totally get that wrong.
And I don't correct them or anything. I'm not one of those guys who are going to go out. No, it's not. Whatever.
You don't give them the 82nd knife hand?
No, I know. No. I was the guy who had carried around my my little blue book in my pocket because I like to have my hair pushing the
What's the blue book?
670-1.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is just so old school.
You know what I'm talking about.
Blue book, dude. Yeah, put in your right hand cargo pocket.
Yep.
Yeah, bro, I remember. Oh man.
Oh, this is.
Oh yeah, that was the thing back there, man.
Now, you want to talk about some crazy stuff? I'm not going to confirm or deny whether or not I was there, but my company It was 97 or 98. The division at Santa Claus got taken.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
So it reappeared real quickly.
I'm sure it did. Oh, man. You know what I love about the Army, man, or just the military in general, right? There's this, like, unique brotherhood bonding. Like,
Yeah.
we're all a bunch of misfits, you know? Like, and I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, you know, using the term misfits, but I would say there's a lot of just, like, mischievousness, you know? Like, I would say, like, I'm an 18-year-old kid, even though I don't feel like that anymore. But my mindset is still there, like, just playing pranks, being a little punk, you know, that kind of stuff. And I think the military is that one spot for anyone, you know, who has that little, like you guys were saying, that sense of adventure, that sense of, you know, I think when people join, everyone joins for various reasons. The ones who stay, you know, for a little while and enjoy that career, it's that little bit of excitement. It's that brotherhood. It's kind of, to me, it's a way of life. And so, yeah, I think it's a good time. Justin, what does Veterans Day mean to you?
I tell you, you know, it's. I look across and you know, it's definitely a day to honor and celebrate the bravery and the sacrifice of all veterans of you know, all ages. You know,
Yeah.
And sometimes we forget, you know, especially as a post 9/11 veteran, you know, we forget about the Vietnam veterans. We forget about the Korean War veterans.
Yep.
I mean, because not all the time are you going to see, let's just be honest about it. You don't see many post 9/11 veterans hanging out in VFWs or American Legions. You just don't anymore.
I've never been to one.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so where do you see them? You see them at Walmart, you know, where you go up and you give them a hug, you shake their hand, or see them at the grocery store in their wheelchair, you know. And I tell you, I really, you know, when I come across those old school veterans that, I'll just say it, you know, that had it hard, right? I want to thank them, you know, and I'm going to try to treat every day with them, you know, as Veterans Day, you know, with them. But it's definitely a day for us to all come together. You know, you were talking about the history of Veterans Day being, you know, the 11th hour of the 11th day, the 11th month, you know, and that's just extremely powerful in itself. So I just really like the day to just stop for a minute. And, you know, you go through your black book or your blue book, right? And you go through all those people that, you know, you served with, and you shoot them text messages, or you give them a call, see how they're doing. You know, it's just a day to sit back and reflect on the accomplishments of your friends and of your family. And furthermore, it's a day for families to celebrate too, right?
Yeah.
You know, because there's so much pride that a family has into the veterans or into their, you know, family members serving, right? So they're part of Veterans Day too as well, and whatnot. So
yeah, I agree. You know, with everything everyone said, is just it's that day just to kind of remember, you know, give thanks, and you know, if you did serve, reach out to your buddies and check in on them. And you know, Justin, you mentioned the Vietnam vets and the Korean War vets. That hits near and dear to my heart. You know, I think everyone here, you know, the post 9/11 generation, we got it great. I remember before I got injured, I was like, why the hell are we doing this? Why are we still over here? Why are we still fighting? No one really cares. And then, lo and behold, injured. I'm sitting up at Walter Reed. And I literally was, I want to say a day or two after my amputation, a lady comes in from America's Fund and hands me an envelope. Her name's Karen Hetherington. I still keep in contact with her today. And she's like, hey, this is just something really small. We just want to give it to you and your family. You know, you're from the Bragg area. It's just $300 in gift cards. And I was like, oh, like just $300. Like, no, that's huge. But please, like, and we're fighting. We're handing this envelope back and forth. I'm like, hey, you know, like, I'm a senior NCO. I'm good. There has to be other soldiers. And she's like, no. And it started there, and it went, you know, to other organizations out there. And I think it took me getting hurt to realize that America does care. people do care. These large Fortune 1000 companies and even some of these smaller companies, they all care. And we're going to talk about your company and what you're doing here in just a minute. But people legitimately care. I mean, you have anything from like little fishing camping retreats to just social gatherings to, Lear jets flying wounded soldiers and their families all across this country, getting them to and from where they need to go. To the Gary Sinise Foundation's Homes for Our Troops and all these other foundations that are literally building mortgage-free homes to severely wounded people, and so if that doesn't
cars,
that doesn't, resonate out to people, like our country really does care. It's not as fractured as I think a lot of people think, but for our Vietnam vets, they didn't have that at all. They, here they go. Most of them didn't have a choice. They were drafted, they went over, and they served their year, and it was hellacious, the body counts that were happening over there. And then to come home and get spit upon, it was absolutely, and coming home to what they came home to was absolutely atrocious in my opinion. And it's these same gentlemen who made sure after 9/11 we didn't come home to that, and to me it's just absolutely, these guys could be bitter and angry. I wouldn't blame them if they were, but here they did. They made it really, really, really awesome for us. I was doing a trip after I lost my leg from Miami to Key West, riding it was a hand cycle at the time. I didn't have a prosthetic leg at the time. And I was riding alongside one of my teammates, and we were talking about the Vietnam veterans and how awesome they were and how they've given us so much, and what it'd be like to be in their shoes. And right as we came into Key West, and as crazy as Key West is, they're a super patriotic city, a little town down there. And some dude in like an old Volkswagen beat up van screams out the window, drops an F-bomb, and calls us a bunch of baby killers. And my fuse was pretty quick. I turn that little hand cycle around. I'm like, I'm going to catch this little SOB, right? I'm going to drag him out and pull him out. Dude, and you just saw like, hey, Jake, get over here, But, I couldn't imagine coming home to that for them and dealing with that day in and day out, I volunteered to go. Some of these guys didn't. So, thank a veteran. You see a veteran, literally, especially those old timers, man. Those guys literally carried the weight on their shoulders.
Yeah, a couple months ago, we had one of my wife's family friends. We call him Uncle Russ, and he was in the Korean War. And I always knew he was in the Army. I didn't really ever get a chance too much to talk about like what he was doing. And I tell you, he was over here, and I printed him one of our Korean War shirts, right? And he started crying. Okay, and I got him to open up, and he was literally telling me how he was an infantryman in the Korean War. He was on a machine gun outpost. Okay. And they were coming up over the hill, and he was just spraying, and it was so detailed, and you could tell, because we've all been through this at times. We're not going to outwardly just start sharing some of our war stories unless you're like with really close friends in a safe environment, But I could tell Uncle Russ, he had been waiting so many years to be able to share that story and just let that out, to let out the feeling of, squeezing the trigger at the enemy. And we connected very spiritually and deeply that day. And I tell you, you can't think, just because, they're Vietnam or they were, in whatever World War, Korea, or the Gulf War, or they were infantry versus, they were just an HR dude. Everyone had crazy experiences in their life, and to be able to be that person to listen to them and lend an ear, it was really powerful for me. So if anyone listening has the opportunity to have that conversation with one of them old timers, have that conversation. Let that old timer tell you all about it, right? I think that's powerful in itself. So.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's kind of transition. We've talked about, why we do it and why we observe it. And, Justin, you and I connected a few weeks ago because of what you're doing, which I think is pretty awesome. So, please tell us about Patriot's Fishing Retreat, why you started, how you came up with the idea, and what it's about. And Will's actually going to join you up there next week. So
yeah, man, we're gonna go drop a line, man. Maybe crack a beer too, right, buddy? Do old Montana style.
I've been trout fishing in years.
Yeah. Hey, so we'll talk about Patriot's fishing retreat, and then whenever you want to circle back on Proper Patriot in itself. But the fishing retreat, I mean, we have Veterans Day right around the corner. This year has been crazy. We've been cooped up in the house constantly. Everyone has. I wanted to be able to provide an opportunity through a brand that I've built to be able to give back to veterans, to patriots, to first responders, to military spouses and their families. So from my business perspective as a patriotic apparel company, as well as the sponsors that have taken me under their wing, that believe in me, like Freedom Consulting, we're able to provide an opportunity to bring together. I mean, it's going to be somewhere between 40 to 60 veterans and their families, some of which who are first responders, and emergency medical professionals, firefighters, policemen and women, as well as just good old hometown patriots that are in support of us on Veterans Day. So it'll be a day where we can come together. We can share whatever stories that we want to feel are necessary. Because some of us, there's certain stories we want to share, and some may just be, just some little stories. But it's a day to bring everyone together to go fishing. It's going to be in Star Tannery, Virginia, at the Double Spur Outfitters. 4 miles of beautiful crystal clear stream that's stocked with beautiful trout, and it also has other species of trout there in the stream as well. So it's going to be a really, really great time. We're going to have a couple of so Terry Wiley, he was a 34-year Navy veteran. He's going to come up from Norfolk, and he's going to present the Biggest Fish Award, which is a beautiful Veterans Day painting that he did, right? So he was selected for Command Master Chief in the Navy, which is E9. He was in for 34 years, and now he's an artist. And he's a painter, and he painted this beautiful Veterans Day March parade. And we're going to be able to give that out to whomever gets that biggest fish, as well as present some memorial plaques to our sponsors that are going to be there, that have been supporting us. So we have a great barbecue, so you get to enjoy that. That's coming from Schaefer's Barbecue out of Middletown, Virginia. Nathan, owner of the little barbecue joint and cafe, he was a Navy aviator. Right, so another veteran-owned business. I'm very, very fond of, being part of, local organizations, preferably that are veteran-owned, and just people out there trying to make a difference in the community. So this is again a way to give back to veterans and service members, and hopefully it can provide them, some of that hope that they're looking for, or maybe it's a way to help them network. To find the answer to a question that they're looking for. And I think it's going to be a really powerful event, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm really thrilled that you all are going to be a part of that with me. So thank you so much.
That's too easy, man. I mean, I think for us, we are the Coffee Squad, but, the company is Freedom Consulting. And, whenever we can give back and to a great organization, it's not just a duty, it's an honor. And so, stoked that we can linked up with you and know, and get to know you over these last few weeks, and glad we can be part of it. And hopefully next year, we help, grow this. So, to our listeners out there, hey, if you're running a company, or you're looking, everyone always asks, they always ask me, hey, who should I donate to? Here's something. I'm not going to tell you who to donate to and who not to donate to, because every 501c veterans organization out there, they're all out there to help. But look at something like this. This is a great cause that really, in my opinion, getting people outdoors. You have a lot of people that will just coop up in their house, whatever, a disability or whatever they've been, going on, whether it's, something physical or mental. but getting them out in nature,
Yeah.
Catching a fish. Some people, it amazes me, and that's okay. But some people have never caught a fish before, and to watch them catch a fish, hook it, it's awesome. And then the barbecue and just the cohesion that's going to be out there. So, Justin, honestly, like, good on you, man. Good on you for kind of seeing this, especially with COVID and everything, and putting it all together. I don't think people realize like the amount of work and worry and I'm sure you've had sponsors that kind of promised hey, we'll donate X amount, whatever, and then because of COVID or whatever financial reasons they have to pull out, and now you're struggling to play the catch up. So good on you, man. So thank you for doing that.
So definitely more of it to come in the future, too.
For sure.
This is a good test, as we kind of creep through the remainder of 2020. And next year be able to set the foundation, correctly, so we can go into the year having realistic expectations from an event perspective. It's especially around partnerships with other organizations such as yourself, to be able to align correctly, to be resourced properly in order to host an event that can change someone's life. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to, draw into veteran suicide, but, there's a lot of problems happening, and they're not going to go away, and the resources aren't readily available. And then furthermore, sometimes people just aren't ready for that resource, and bad decisions are made. And this is an opportunity to provide light at the end of the tunnel for an organization to be the lighthouse for veterans, to be able to cultivate new friendships and hope. That's all part of the DNA of Proper Patriot. So
yeah, you just kind of mentioned Proper Patriot, and you've mentioned what you kind of did in the past is kind of being that liaison and putting veterans into corporation jobs and making that link and building that bridge for them. Can you talk a little bit about Proper Patriot as we kind of start wrapping this up? Like, as you got out, what made you think of this idea, and where it's going? And then obviously you've done pretty well in order to put on an event like this coming up. So, and I think for our listeners, I know we're not talking about security today, and that's okay. This is kind of like our 4th of July.
Bob security.
Yeah, but so we got Justin on here who thousands and thousands of military veterans into jobs. And, here's a resource if you're in management, senior management, or an owner of a company, and you're thinking of, hey, how do I get good quality people? Here's a guy you can connect with. All right. So Justin, you kind of close us out with a little bit of Proper Patriot, why you started, how it started, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, of course. So obviously 20 years of military service, we all wore a uniform, right? We all saluted the flag. We all, fell into the position of attention at 5:58, prior to first formation, and they're doing their counts and whatnot. And we all had these feelings. And you remember the feeling when you got an award and you stood up there and you just felt amazing. They were pinning that award on your chest. I tried to take that feeling, right, and be able to use that feeling and kind of, I guess, direct it in a way that could provide some sort of meaningful service and product to our veterans and to our community, because that's what it is, our tribe, our community, right? So it really was like, man, it was like 6 or 7 years ago where I was like, I want to do this, but I just never got around to it. Army life was too hectic, it was too stringent, and there was, when I looked at it from a competitor's analysis perspective, in the space that I'm in, just there wasn't much slice of the cake left. There were some big players in the scene that they were making moves, and they were making huge impacts in a variety of different perspectives. So I just hadn't made it. And we circle back to September 11th of 2019, and man, that was, every September 11th is a very emotional day for me. But man, this day was more powerful than all of them combined, and I just said, today's the day. I'm doing it. I am going to start Proper Patriot, and I'm going to make this happen no matter, how much of my savings I have to invest into this, how much heart, how much, dedication and discipline that's going to be needed. I can do it. I'm going to do everything I can to be able to create something meaningful, right? And that meaningful, not only around our service and around those who support us, but when you look deeper into it and we look at our values at Proper Patriot, they all focus around family, tradition, and self-reliance, right? That is extremely important, and that is the umbrella of honoring our American spirit, and rallying around the positivity of what our servicemen and women are doing, around what our first responders and patriots are doing in their particular companies, or their particular cities and communities that they live in. These are individuals that are making a difference. They're doing well in their hometown USA. And these are all people that, they love America. They love the red, white, and blue. They love the great outdoors. And they're about uniting our nation. And I think, that's something that we've felt this divide, and like the Grand Canyon since 2001. I'm not saying I've seen the shift, and that's where I was like, you know what? I really want to focus around the positivity of honoring our American spirit and honoring these special people that you see out there, and you'll see it in videos and on social media. And I'm not that guy that wants to focus on the negatives and be jumping into the politics. That's just not me. I would rather focus on someone in hometown USA that did something amazing. They're at the food kitchen serving homeless, or you catch that individual that helps Granny across the street, and then you say, man, why didn't I jump out of the vehicle and do that for her? So that's Proper Patriot. Awesome. In a nutshell. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about it. To
too easy, man. Yeah,
I mean,
I got your website up here. I've looked at your shirts. The website for our listeners out there is proper, PROPER, Patriot, PATRIOT.com, properpatriot.com. Yep. They got some awesome shirts. I'll tell you, just one of my favorite ones is the trout fishing shirt. That's an awesome one. So, hey, Christmas, holidays are coming up, you don't have to be a veteran to rock one of these. You could just love this country and everything gets provided for all of us, and get them. I know you got some deals going on up there as well. So for our listeners, viewers out there, check out properpatriot.com. So
thank you.
Awesome. Justin, man, great having you on. Really, really appreciate it. Will, what else you got, man?
So appreciate you coming on, Justin, and I will see you next week. But for all the listeners and watchers out there, just check us out on the YouTube channel. Just search the Coffee Squad podcast in the search bar. Will pop up. Make sure you subscribe. Give us some ratings and likes. You can listen to us and subscribe to us at coffeesquadpodcast.com. It's on all your favorite platforms. If you're following us on Apple, make sure you give us those ratings, because that's how they kind of bump us up. If we're not getting ratings, we don't get the recognition on Apple.
Give Will some love.
Yes. Man love. No. Follow us on Facebook at Coffee Squad Podcast, and on Instagram at coffee_squad_podcast. Leave a comment, share with your buddies. Appreciate it. Awesome. Justin, thanks for joining us. Will, good seeing you, man. Thanks for setting all this up. And for our listeners, thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
Thank you.